So many times, ones cannot understand life travels, why people do what they do, why someone was raised the way they were raised, why someone lives where they live. Why does it feel that all things feel of little movement and shackled? Life being painful. Where does one find joy in a life that feels of absolute misery? We don't want to always paint a picture of feeling awful, less than, angry, feeling unworthy, feeling beaten by life. So many on the planet feel beaten by life itself, feel life is the punishment for something, not even understanding what the something would be, but understanding there is punishment in their perception of life. So we speak about vibration, we speak about higher consciousness, we speak about emotions, we speak words that allows one to find from within their inner essence of all they are, their inner light. We often will say that inner essence is truly the essence of the oneness of the universe, and it is. But one's inner essence of all one is, underneath layers of human experience, we want to say from physical to non-physical, in non-physical experience, eternal life is. Eternal light is. Eternal love is. Higher consciousness allows ones upon Mother Earth in physical form to bring forth eternal light as it is felt when ones are non-physical, if you will. But again, it gets sticky, for there's many belief systems. There are some who do not believe in heaven, and that is fine. We are not here to change a belief. There are some that do not believe in eternal light, eternal love, inner light, inner wisdom, and we are not here to convince anyone. What we share is from collective consciousness, source energy, in having a perspective that is boundless, a perspective that holds no judgment, no condemnation, a perspective that holds only the greatest, grandest sense of love, the greatest, grandest sense of compassion, the greatest, grandest sense of kindness, and the greatest, grandest sense of forgiveness. The words that are being shared are shared in the highest of consciousness, the highest of vibration, the highest of energy. So we will say to live life through the eyes of Source, through the eyes of Divine, through the eyes of eternal light, through the eyes of your light. What if you understood that you are a magnificent creation among all magnificent creations? Most would just think this is BS. Ones have convinced themselves that there's no way that they are magnificent. There's no way they are whole. There is no way that they even hold any importance in creation. Feeling so discarded by life, and so many feel discarded by one's own faith. They feel discarded by creation. Disappointments, upsets, heartache, difficult travels. All things feeling walking uphill with so much weight upon one's back, endless days with weight upon one's back, with no relief in sight. The only thing that feels that lies ahead is the pain and the suffering. When ones reach this point, it is understood how they arrived. Again, there is no judgment, no condemnation. Only compassion, only kindness, only love. To place down weight upon one's shoulders, one has to remove the weight. So often in life, one start out on their journey and they feel really good. They feel really good. They start out on their journey. They have many things they want to experience, many wishes, dreams, and desires, many things that brings joy and abundance, happiness and laughter and ease and contentment and peace, so many things. So many things to look forward to. And walking along their journey, and something happens, and it could be something very small. So let us start with little ones, eager, playing all the time, seeing the world through the eyes of Source, little ones, laughing just so easily. And isn't it true, when little ones are playing and something upsets, it is only forgiveness granted so quickly so they can play again. Dry their tears so they can play again, eagerly, quickly. And then ones grow into adults, and drying tears to play again doesn't feel that one even wants to play again. So going back to a little one, and this little one is viewing the world through the eyes of goodness, through the eyes of playfulness, through the eyes of innocence, through the eyes of just arriving upon Mother Earth, very connected to knowing of their magnificence and their greatness. And then the interaction with others, the sculpting, the molding, if you will, the doctrines, the teaching, the belief systems placed upon. And they move forth. And in all this, someone comes along and speaks very unkind words. So we often say in the playground, unkind words in the playground. So think of the innocent, we'll say children, laughing at children, if you will. But one doesn't find the innocence of it. And so they're being teased. And we shared in a previous segment that teasing should never be. Teasing should never be, whether one thinks it's good-natured or not, because one never knows what one will hang on to. teasing someone in a jovial manner can cause so much pain to the receiver. And if one's understood that teasing truly opens a door to cause great amount of pain, it would be stopped. We are sharing that when one teases another, it truly hinders the one that is teasing far greater than the receiver. The giver feels it more in their body, mind, heart, and soul, for in one's inner essence of all, it does not resonate to be unkind. So an unkind word is spoken. Think of that as a pebble, a little rock, and the little one carrying a backpack on their back. And they pick up a few words, few unkind words, and they place that little pebble in their backpack. And they move along, and then something else happens, and the little pebble is placed in. And they move along life, getting a little older, picking up pebbles as they go along. Some bigger in size, some very small. And then they get to a space where something happens that feels so heavy. So let us say they get to pre-teen, and life is changing around them as they know it. Their bodies are changing at such a rapid pace, keeping up, wanting to fit in, wanting not to fit in, finding their place in the world, if you will, under the conditioning, under all the, we want to say, input of others, under a system of A, B, C's, and D's. So an F on a paper, and we discussed this before, what if the whole marking system was abolished? Because receiving a C can be the grandest rock that one places in their backpack, because they carry it, and then they convince themselves that they cannot do any better. Even if they try, they'll always get a C, and then a C is usually presented. And they carry it. They carry that huge rock in their backpack for life. So when you are moving along life and you're filling up this backpack with stones and pebbles and large rocks, if one is not mindful to empty the backpack, it sounds so simple, does it not? But it is not, because what happens is that it's carried for so long, and it is in such small, we want to say, segments of time, just one on top of another, the rocks filling up. And one may forget about the little pebble that was first placed in there, because now the first little pebble is covered with many rocks, large rocks, more pebbles. Just think of it that way, almost forgetting about the first few pebbles that was placed in. And so one then carries this backpack, and one may feel the strength, not even noticing that the backpack is getting rather heavy, rather full, not understanding to place it down, because it felt so natural to hold it. It felt so natural to receive the C, if you will, the marking grade. It would feel natural that one would feel disheartened. They would feel less than in comparison to the others that got an A or a B. So the weight is carried. And it is true that metaphor, the weight can be carried for a length of time. Once their legs become really strong, if you will, a back can become very strong carrying the weight. But life travels continue. And more pebbles, more rocks are placed in. And then one starts to feel such burden and heaviness. The legs become weak. The back becomes weak. Trying to take steps with this weight upon one's shoulders and back, carrying something that now is decades ago. The pebble that was first placed, the very first pebble, is now decades ago being carried for decades. And then one reaches a place in life where the burden of, the heaviness of, has to be felt almost in such a painful way. One's not able to take another step with the heaviness that they are carrying. So it would seem logical, if you will, that one's then, if they could just remove the backpack from their back, from all the weight that they are carrying, if they could just remove it, place it down, and walk forward. It would be the grandest, greatest relief for one's mind, heart, soul, and naturally body. One would free themselves. They could stand tall, their shoulders back, instead of being all hunched over. When ones carry the weight of their life experience, the heaviness, the burdens, unable to release them, or not even aware that they are carrying them for so long, which is normally what happens, what takes place. Because that little pebble that is first placed in is so often forgotten. Or all the little pebbles along the way. You do not want to think about it, so it's forgotten. But somewhere deep within, it is being carried. And the one that is carrying is not conscious of. Now, if it is a large rock or a boulder all at once, placed in all at once, a large rock placed in the backpack all at once, the body will go down, not prepared to carry such a heavy load, carry such a heavy weight. Little pebbles going in, one can be adjusted to the weight, but when something comes along that feels like a boulder has just been placed down, one goes down. They do not have the strength. And normally that boulder metaphor is placed on top of what one is already carrying. So it would sound logical and very easy. Oh, just place that down. Let it all go. Place it down. Walk along. Enjoy the scenery. Wouldn't that be nice? And it is true. If ones could place it down, they would free themselves of the burdens. If they could place down the thoughts, place down the unwanted that they are carrying. But what happens is that when one has carried burdens, unkind words, we will just say unkind words, harsh judgment, condemning, feeling less than, feeling unworthy, they've carried that a long time, most days of their entire life, in fact. It becomes part of the journey. It starts to feel part of oneself, for one does not know themselves without carrying the weight upon their back. They do not remember the freedom when the backpack was empty. It was so gradual. And perhaps the big boulder placed, one would understand why it arrived, meaning could clearly see that they are carrying a grand burden, but not understanding that they do not have to carry it. Now, we understand there are travels in life that it has to be carried for a little bit of time. Challenges in life, setbacks in life, heartache in life. The contrast of life. But in the contrast of life, and it doesn't sound fair and it doesn't sound right, it doesn't even sound loving or compassionate, that one would have the boulder, the huge rock delivered in the first place. Why would anyone have a backpack filled with heaviness? And again, the contrast of life. So if someone told the little one, okay, you're holding on to that little pebble, and the little pebble was an unkind word, and someone came along and said, oh, don't carry that. No, oh, place that down. Put that down. It's going to hurt you if you carry it. But it's just a little pebble, they may answer. No, it's not a little pebble. It is something that you will carry a lifetime. Place it down, put it down right now. Where did you find it? Right here. Place it down. You're going to leave it, and perhaps even bury it if you can. If someone were to come along and tell the little one that in this metaphor, the little one would understand at a very young age not to carry it. Little ones see the world differently, because when an adult is experiencing holding on to something, and someone comes along and says, oh, no, you have to put that down. You cannot carry that. Do not carry that. That is detrimental. That is harm to oneself. Do not carry that. I cannot let you harm yourself. Please place it down. Let it go now. Let it go. Walk away. Get as far away from it as you can. Like holding a firecracker, if you will. Place it down. Let it go. Quickly, you're going to hurt yourself. Ones have difficulty seeing it. And why? Because they have carried it so long. They do not understand. So isn't it true that ones can say, oh, let it go? Wouldn't higher consciousness be to let all things go? Yes, naturally. But does it feel natural to let it go? It does not, because it's been carried so long. So how would one place it down in the knowing that one is truly causing great harm to oneself, carrying the judgment, carrying the condemnation, carrying the harsh words, carrying the event, carrying the tragedy, if you will. Name it what you will, hundreds of thousands of reasons, hundreds of rocks to place in a backpack. Thousands. And some walk along and they're so used to picking up the pebbles and the stones that they stop to pick them up. Doesn't sound right, but they find them. Because it doesn't take much for one to hear something. And because they're so conditioned to feeling less than and unworthy, even something so well-meaning can come across as a rock placed in a backpack. Because ones are seeing the world through the eyes of heaviness, through the eyes of burdens, through the eyes of feeling unworthy, uncared for, unloved, feeling so out of place, don't know where they fit in, just beating upon oneself. And then that's even more rocks and more boulders, because one is doing it to themselves. They're not even waiting for someone to hand them the rock. They're stopping to pick the rock up themselves and throwing it in their backpack, themselves, with unkind words. So to be told to let it all go, yes, words of wisdom, easy to do. For some, it is. Some get to a place where if they do not place the burdens down, the backpack down, the heavy boulders down, they will not be able to move forward, nor do they want to. And something from within says, enough. And not a harsh scolding, a gentle voice, a voice of an angel, says, enough, enough, enough. Place down the hurt. Place down the judgment. Place down feeling less than. Place down the unkind words. A gentle voice speaks through the inner essence of who you are, but one has to be still to hear it. There are times that ones just get to the place where they place it down all at once. And others, they just start slowly removing rock by rock, rock by rock, every step. Each day they reach in and say, I'm not carrying you today. And they hold the rock in the hand, metaphor, but not. They look at it and say, I cannot carry you one more day. And they place the rock down with love, with compassion, with grace, with kindness, and with forgiveness. They may even show gratitude and say, thank you for the travel, but I must place you down today. It's in the gentleness that the healing begins. And perhaps the next day one reaches in and they look at the rock and say, oh, I know where I found you. I know where I found you. I placed you in there when I told myself that I was not deserving of anything good. I placed you in there, and I must let you go. I must let you go, for I must walk without you. And gently saying perhaps a prayer, thank you for showing me that I shouldn't be holding this belief in my own being. And then the next day, reaching in, finding another, and saying, oh, I know where you came from. I know who delivered you. I know where you came from, and I know who delivered you, and I forgive. And I forgive myself for holding you for so long. And I forgive the other for giving this rock to me. I forgive. I forgive. I forgive. And they place the rock down. And they keep walking in the state of compassion and kindness and forgiveness and love towards oneself, because that is what it takes to remove the burdens from one's back, shackled to. It takes love to find the rock, to look at it, and truly look at it, not for long, because it doesn't need to be carried. And say, I forgive, and I cannot, I will not walk with you, and place the rock down. And slowly there feels some lightness. The burdens become lighter. And ones then can start to move a little more. They can stand straight a little more. Their legs become a little more of strength. The burden is eased. They're still carrying the backpack, and now it's half full. But now they're on the road to understanding. They're on the road to understanding that every time they take a rock out of, that they release an unwanted thought, belief, experience, situation, when one does not hold it anymore, they start to perk up, if you will, and start to then truly desire to start taking the rocks out. And it could be maybe 10 rocks a day by now, and it's getting lighter and it's getting more free, and the freedom is felt, and the peace is felt, and contentment is felt, and goodness is felt, worthiness is felt. Love is felt, compassion is felt, kindness is felt, forgiveness is felt, and all at once, the backpack is removed, and one is free. That is higher consciousness. Living in the freedom, that's what we are sharing. The freedom that comes to one when one finds the grandest sense of compassion, the grandest sense of love, the grandest sense of forgiveness. Comes the grandest sense of freedom and the grandest sense of healing. And the knowing that the next time you want to stop to pick up a rock of unkind words, you know, no, I can't carry that today. I'm not carrying that. I'm not holding on to this. I'm placing it down. And when someone else comes along and hands you an unkind word, a rock to hold, you'll say, no, thank you. You hold that rock. It's not for me. I cannot accept it. I will not accept it. I cannot hold it. Really, really, really good. There is great love for you.